everyone, it's Amanda, and today I have my October wrap-up. I read 10 books in October, and I realized that I already discussed, I think, 3 of them in my last wrap-up because I was so eager to just get caught up that I talked about them. So those books were She's Not There by Joy Fielding, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. And Proof by Jordan Redwood, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars. So if you are interested in how those books were, what they were about, what I thought of them, a little bit more details, you can check out my last wrap-up. And I talk about those there. So now for the books that I haven't discussed yet. The first book is Creep by Jennifer Hillier. This book was really creepy, I guess is a good description of it. It is about a woman who is a professor at a college, and she is having an affair with her teaching assistant who's much younger than her, and she's engaged to be married. She starts to feel guilty about it, so she breaks off the relationship, but he doesn't take that well and begins to have quite a fatal attraction with her and starts to do things that are really messed up. That's all I want to say about it. I think that's all you should know when you go into this. That's about all I knew, and that was great. This book definitely surprised me, and I liked the surprises. I thought I knew what was going on, and I was wrong. I ended up giving this 5 stars. My only problem with this is that there are some very graphic sex scenes and also a lot of vulgar language in this book. It's just the content is very vulgar. The sex scenes are very vulgar. So if that's not your thing, you might not like it. It's not my thing, but the mystery surrounding it was so intense that I just tried to overlook all that stuff as much as possible. And I read Return to the Dark House by Lori Farias-Delares, and I only gave this 2 stars. I really liked Welcome to the Dark House, which is the first book. I believe I gave it 4 or 5 stars. I loved the plot. I loved the setting. I just liked pretty much everything about that book. This one fell a little flat for me. I got really bored with it. The characters were not interesting to me, and it just was not that engaging to me. I just could not get into it. I just didn't care that much. Even when the plot really started to go, I was kind of bored. And it took a while for things to start happening. Plus, I was in quite a reading slump when I was reading this, so that might be part of it. I don't blame this book for my rating entirely because I was feeling very slumpy. It might have just been that I was not in the mood, but I just did not really enjoy it. And I found myself kind of forcing myself to the end because I was so close to the end that I did feel like I needed to finish it, but I really didn't care that much. So I only gave this 2 out of 5 stars. I didn't hate it, so I didn't give it 1 star, but I didn't really like it. Then I read Don't Look Back by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This was my first book by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I definitely understand why people like her. She is a very good author. Her writing style was very easy to fall into, and it went really fast. I thought the plot was very interesting. It's about a girl who finds herself walking down this dirt road, and she doesn't remember what happened in the last couple days, and her best friend is still missing, and nobody really knows what happened. And so piece by piece, things start to come back to her. I did enjoy this quite a bit, but unfortunately, I was able to figure out the culprit of this book, probably just because I read a lot of thrillers. I do think it was very clever how it was written and how everything came to be. But I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely recommend it. It's a great YA thriller. Then I read The October List by Jeffrey Deaver. I was so excited to get into this one because it starts in the end and goes to the beginning. It's a backwards story, and that really intrigued me because it's completely different from anything I've ever read. And I was surprised because there are some twists and I didn't really see how there could be. But the way he writes is very clever. He is very creative in his storytelling. My problem was I did not like his writing style. I felt his writing style was very hard to fall into. It just didn't feel fluid. It just didn't feel like I could disengage from this world and get into this one, if that makes sense. I had a hard time connecting to this world and this story. The plot was interesting. It's about a woman her daughter is being held for ransom, and she has a list called the October list, and there are people after her, and you're slowly finding out what has happened during her day that has brought her to the point where, you know, at the beginning of the story, this person who has her daughter barges in with a gun. So that's like the first chapter, and it was very interesting. I was able to guess a few things. If I was just judging the plot, I would probably give it maybe 4.5 stars, but for the entire book, I gave it 3 stars. There were a lot of moments where I felt like it was very slow, plus the first probably 120 pages were extremely confusing because you didn't know any of these characters and you're just thrown into the story. And I hate being confused when I'm reading a book, and I just felt like I wasn't able to figure out what's going on, and I felt like I had to really focus. That really bothered me. So I gave it 3 stars. It was okay, but I don't know that I'm gonna read a lot of Jeffrey Deaver. I'm not sure if he's my kind of writer, just the way he writes. I didn't care for his style. Then I finally decided to DNS Black Hills. I had started this in September, and I really did like what I read. This is about a woman who starts a big cat sanctuary, and being a Nora Roberts book, there's a lot of romance involved. The thing I didn't realize, and I should have because it's Nora Roberts, is that the story is mainly about the romance, and then in the background there is a murder mystery, and the plot is happening kind of in the background of this big relationship, which is the main thing. I know a lot of people love that. I prefer for the romance to be in the background and for the plot and the murder mystery and all that stuff to be in the foreground, for that to be the center of the story. So it's not her, it's me. It's one of those things where I just don't really find romance that interesting. I just don't enjoy it that much. So I couldn't finish this. I just felt like I was forcing myself through it. After reading it for a month and trying to continue, I just gave up and realized that I might not be a Nora Roberts kind of girl, but I do think the plot was interesting. I thought the mystery was good, and even the characters were good. Everything about it was good. It's just not my kind of book. So I didn't rate this one. Then I read Shaken, Discovering Your True Identity in the Midst of Life's Storms by Tim Tebow with AJ Gregory. And I received this, I received an email to be part of the Tim Tebow, this book launch team. And of course I said yes, because I said in my last video, I really, really like Tim Tebow. I like the character, his character. He's a man of integrity, and this book really cemented that even more for me. So this is about his football career and his ups and downs in football, and it's also about his experiences outside of football. I was a little concerned because I'm not much of a football fan, despite the fact that I live in Steeler country, and people in Steeler country where I live are a little bit crazy. They are over the top, my husband included, with his terrible towels, and he practically bleeds black and gold. I don't know. I don't get that. I'm not much of a football fan, but I am a Tim Tebow fan. So I enjoyed the story. I felt like it was told in a way that I still found it interesting, even when he was talking about football. It's written very well. It is very interesting. There are some stories in here that are so inspiring. He really inspires you as a reader to step out of your comfort zone and to go and serve others and to look for opportunities to leave a legacy. And it's just amazing to me. I think that I am one of those people that believes everything happens for a reason. My thoughts are that he was put in this spotlight for a short time so that he could do bigger things in another way. So it's just amazing to me, and this was really, really good. I could talk about it for a long time, but I'm not going to. Gave it 5 stars, and I would recommend it if you're a Christian and you like nonfiction, or if you like Tim Tebow, or if you're like football, you might like it too. And lastly, I read The Farm by Tom Rob Smith, and this one I didn't really know much about, but I was at the Dollar General one day and saw it for $3 and it sounded good, so I bought it. And I'm really glad that I did, because it was very, very good. It's about a man who lives in London. His parents just moved to Sweden. He gets a call from his dad who says, your mother is kind of having issues and I had to put her in a psychiatric facility, and she's going to be telling you all kinds of stories, but you can't believe them. And then no sooner has he hung up the phone that his mom calls him and says, do not believe a word your dad is saying. Everything he's telling you is a lie. You cannot trust him. So this man is caught between his parents, who got along all the years that he was growing up, never fought, and he's just completely confused, does not know what to do, does not know who to believe. And he comes to see his mother, and she goes over this story, and there's mystery and all these things happening that she's describing. He just does not know what to believe. It was so good. I thought it was going to be a psychological thriller, but I wouldn't call it a psychological thriller. I would probably more call it a psychological mystery, because there is a lot of mystery, but I wasn't feeling like it was a thrilling kind of book, but it was very psychological. I gave it 5 stars, and I would recommend this if you like that kind of book. I thought the writing was very, very good. The characters were great, and I flew through this. It was a very fast read, so I would recommend it for sure. Really happy I read it. I might even put it on my top 10 of 2016 because I enjoyed it so much, and I had never heard of it. So it's great to pick up books you've never heard of. Sometimes you find gems in those piles, but apparently he is actually a pretty popular author. I just had never heard of him. But anyway, that is it. Those are all of the books that I've read in October. So I hope you all have a great night, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye.